the goal is we need to narrow it down to at least 5 or fewer in the first round of voting, because we have 5 additional questions prepared, and we will ask the 5 or fewer. We will select randomly your name and a question for that person to answer, and they're all 5 different questions. And so that question is related to a city issue or something about serving your constituents and serving the district. And we will then continue voting until we get down to one person. There's a possibility that we could have one clear winner in the first round of voting. That happened with Councilmember Valdemoris. She received a vote from all 6 council members, and they appointed her right away. So that could happen. It just sort of depends on the numbers. We have an even number of people sitting up here, so there might not be a clear winner in the first round. So that's why we need to do multiple rounds of voting. Hopefully that's clear. Council members, do you have any questions? Okay. Well, let's get started. Okay, I have some more things I'm supposed to read. Our staff sent information to each of the District 7 applicants. Oh, this is all what I just said. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything important. One moment. Okay, I think we'll just get started. I'll pick 2 names. The first name is Eric Biggert. And then the second name, so the person that will go second, is Zachary Hildebrand. If you want 5 minutes to get ready, or if you're ready, go ahead. Go ahead. And I think we have a timekeeper to make sure that everyone gets 5 minutes or less.
Thank you. Well, council members, it's an honor to be with you today. With even the slimmest potential of joining a council I've admired for so long. And it's a privilege to speak to the opportunity to represent the residents of District 7. A few years ago, I was listening to a podcast that was talking about the role that cities play in our lives. There was a question from a listener that went something like this. I'm a freelance developer, I live by myself and can work anywhere in the world. How should I go about choosing where to live? The podcast went through dozens of different aspects of city life. Some are with tons of museums, some more safe, some are with low taxes, some are walkable, some are close to an airport, some are with access to the outdoors, but they finally settled on one thing that they felt would make living in a city worthwhile. Their advice to that young professional was find somewhere with a 24-hour diner within walking distance of your home. Somewhere you can be a regular, somewhere you can get a meal, a bite, a cup of coffee, any time of day or night. Somewhere you can take a first date, a work lunch, or your mom when she's in town. A dusty, old, family-run, all-day, all-night diner. I've thought about this example a lot because it sounds wonderful, but it also sounds a little apocryphal. I'm not sure those kinds of places exist. We'd all love them to because at its core it offers us a glimpse into a sense of community that we all hope to build. And that's the key. We have to actively build these things together from the ground up. And how do we get more people engaged and involved in the issues that define our era? Community. One person, one neighborhood, one classroom, one connection at a time. It's all a big diner. In 2016, President Obama's outgoing team dreamed up a nationwide leadership network of young people to reinvent civic life for the 21st century. And at their direction, I'm now part of the team that gets to build that today. A month ago, I was in Detroit for work where we kicked off our first cohort of emerging leaders working to create change in the communities of Chicago and Detroit and Jackson, Mississippi. I was surrounded by people working on dozens of issues at the city or community level, from increasing access to youth sports in Chicago, to bringing small grocery stores, to food deserts in Detroit, and even the city attorney of Jackson locked in a battle with her own city council just to get a contract done so people can have their garbage picked up. I'm fortunate to spend every day actively engaged with people working to make their communities better from the ground up. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an engineer, or a writer, or a professor. This is what I do, full-time. It's my day job, it's my hobby, it's the reason I started an arts nonprofit and have worked in the public, private, and non-sector spaces in this city. It's why during COVID I raised my hand to help expand the communications and volunteerism between the county, the health department, and city governments. I'm a city person in my core. constantly trying to build a community that better represents the people who live here today. Look, I'm proud to be represented by the most diverse and progressive city council in the state. When I'm in Michigan or Mississippi working with elected officials and change makers on building better communities, you are my example to how to make a diverse, dynamic, progressive city inside of a deep red state work effectively. I'm all too aware of the fact that when Detroiters hear Salt Lake City, they don't picture a group like this. They picture a bunch of people who look like me. And that is why I will always choose to represent the people of District 7, to listen to their concerns, to voice their viewpoints, to share our progress together, and to learn from each of you. To your experiences in public service, as advocates, as small business owners, and more importantly, who you are and how you choose to show up for your districts, your families, and yourself. The council to me is a model of community, a place where people come together in person with a common interest but different backgrounds. Isn't that what community gathering is? Any bar or church or festival or union hall conversation reminds us that people are complicated, but our differences are what make us interesting. I may be different than you. I'm an organizer, a work-at-home dad, a U of U and BYU graduate, raised by a Jewish mom and a black stepfather. I love cars, music, history, and fine art, and especially Dr. Pepper. I'm more than the sum of my parts, but each of us individually and collectively are truly so much stronger than the sum of our parts. My hope is that together we build the diners. We build a place where people come to visit, choose to stay, work to thrive in, and somewhere that offers a sense of place and a base camp for discovery. And I ask for your vote of support to help build this community together. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, the next person is Zachary Hildebrand, and after Zachary, we will hear from Hannah Renee Trox. I hope I got that wrong, right? I'm sure I did not.
Well, hello, everybody. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to be standing here and give my 5 minutes of who I am or what I think I can contribute to be a part of the amazing city council that we have here in Salt Lake. And all of the material that I provided in my application, I was pretty quick to highlight what I consider to be my professional qualifications. And I only think that's not even the most important aspect of what a city council member needs to be. We are first and foremost community members. We are representatives of where we live, of the people we interact with, of the people we don't interact with, and with the rest of the communities around Salt Lake Valley itself. When I have born and raised here in Salt Lake City, I left for college, had my first job, but never felt home until both my wife and I moved back to Salt Lake City and moved into District 7 20 years ago. We have started our family. We have 3 wonderful children attending schools in the district, attending schools in a different district, driving to soccer fields and baseball fields not in our district. We are driving to restaurants in our district, walking to the park. We have amazing open spaces. We have a lot of room to improve in open spaces. We're walking across dangerous streets. We are getting frustrated with closed lanes, open lanes, new construction, old construction. We are a very vibrant community. And as a parent, it has been first and foremost to take pride in where we live and who we are and how we can contribute to our community. As an individual, I have done that in many ways, both in my parish, with my school community, as a soccer coach, baseball coach. It happens where I work. I lead different teams within where my office to build not the professional expertise, but the people expertise. I'm a very good listener. I can make sound decisions, quick decisions, willing to work with people I don't get along with because everybody lives together. I guess I've always been the type of person who only joins a board or some sort of leadership role if I have something to complain about. So, I didn't get that. So I go to the person and complain and they say, why don't you come help us? When I saw the opening on this council, it was the first time that I've motivated to not complain about something, but felt like, I can give something here. I've been a community member my entire life here in Salt Lake. I have felt that I've been taking and appreciating what's there. This is my opportunity now to step up and be willing to not complain, but to listen to the complaints, to be the one to say, I hear you. Let's work together on this. Let's be a team. and I really would like the opportunity to sit in the empty chair and be part of the community building aspect of what Salt Lake City is, has been, and should continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary. Okay, Hannah Renee Trox, and please correct me with your pronunciation. And after, we will hear from Benjamin Raskin.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Hannah Truax and I use she, her pronouns. I would first like to begin by expressing my enthusiastic gratitude for allowing me to be an applicant for the District 7 vacant position. I've lived in the Sugar House area for over 2 years, and I've had the privilege of experiencing the great successes that the Salt Lake City Council has accomplished. I first want to begin by addressing and acknowledging my age. I am 21 years old, and I am finishing my undergraduate degree at the University of Utah. I understand that my age may be associated with inexperience, but I believe that because of my age, I have a fresh eye on the needs and the desires of the people of Salt Lake City in District 7. I also feel as if I bring a unique perspective in representing people who reside in Salt Lake City due to their attendance at the University of Utah or Westminster University. I'm currently studying political science with an emphasis in law and politics, so I'm actively being educated on the essential role that government plays in people's day-to-day lives. I recognize the successes and challenges that the Salt Lake City Council faces, and I am optimistic about the potential that this city has, whether or not I'm selected for this position. The Sugar House community is an area that contains and attracts a variety of different people from different backgrounds and from different environments as it continues to grow and develop. And I understand that initiatives are already underway in addressing the challenges that come with this development. I am hopeful to keep those on track to ensure that those who reside in District 7 are able to travel, recreate, and live comfortably and safely. If I am selected for this role, I will approach the position with an open mind and be ready to learn what I can do best to serve those of District 7 and beyond. I am eager to listen, understand, and assist in creating actionable change that will further improve our great city of Salt Lake. Excuse me, sorry, one second. If any conflict arises, I will approach it with an open mind to be transparent, mature, and approach it with civility, as I will do whatever I can in my power to ensure that those who reside in District 7 are properly heard, respected, and represented. Once again, I would like to thank you guys for allowing me to be considered as an applicant, along with these other amazing applicants, and I'm just tremendously grateful to have the opportunity to stand up in front of you today and speak about the city and the district that I love. Thanks.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay, Benjamin Raskin, followed by Adam Steed.
Good afternoon. 2 years ago, I took the first steps to represent Sugar House in the Salt Lake City Council for District 7. I threw my hat in the ring, not because I wanted to do something historic, but rather I wanted to make a real difference. I was concerned about the homeless crisis, horrific traffic, nonstop construction, and the preservation of our parks and open spaces. I was worried about public safety, the inland port, what was doing to our air quality, and to make sure that the next generation of residents can afford to live, work, and recreate in District 7. Furthermore, because Sugar House is the sweetest neighborhood in Utah, I didn't want to turn it into one big strip mall. Running for city council meant that I thought I had the goods to be an engaged and energetic leader. My candidacy was focused on delivering excellent constituent work, serving as a conduit between the citizens and City Hall, and to make a positive impact, not just for the district, but for all of Salt Lake. From the jump, it was an untraditional campaign. COVID was still simmering, making it a challenge to safely meet people in person. But I made the most of it, and then the process burned through a lot of shoe leather. I knocked on doors safely, went to, in the heat of the summer, wearing a mask all the way from Green Street to the Country Club, attended online debates, hosted virtual events, and eventually met the residents in public as the world slowly started to open up again. Admittedly, it was very difficult to get in front of people. The pandemic made folks wary of traditional politics like shaking hands and living room conversations. So to help offset the dangers of COVID, I organized outdoor service projects to connect and engage with the community. I hosted garbage cleanups, did trail maintenance, and even raised over $5,000 for Highland High's food pantry. I wanted to inspire others to service and prove that a political campaign can do actual good along the way, that politics and public service are not mutually exclusive. In the end, it was a tough race and I did fall short, but the loss stung. But because of my friends and family, I dusted myself up and I realized something incredible. What could have been the ultimate discouragement was a galvanizing experience. It was the most fun I have ever had. I can't believe who I met and what I learned, because running for office is an extraordinary experience, because even in defeat, I still believed in Sugar House and knew that I wanted to work for a better future. I leveraged what I learned throughout the campaign and put my energies back into service work. I partnered with local organizations and continued to stay involved. Sure, I was still picking up weeds and trash and planting trees, but I utilized these new relationships and hosted a second fundraiser for Highland High's Pantry, this time raising over $11,000 for student in need. And the best part about all of this is that I don't even have a kid. So I did all of this because I care deeply about Sugar House and I want folks to flourish and feel connected to the community and maybe be inspired to do their own act of good in the neighborhood. And here's a truth I'd like to share. When you're getting your hands dirty volunteering alongside others, you're going to connect with folks. Service work has a lot of downtime, and people who volunteer want to talk about the issues. So what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about the normal things that affect your city, but they hate the idea of a 33-story high-rise being built across the street from Monument Plaza. The roads are too dangerous for cyclists and pedestrians. No one wants a gravel pit up the street from us. They're concerned about the health of the Great Salt Lake because one good winter does not make up a 20-year drought. They want to know what's going on at the tennis courts, and they want a compassionate but practical solution to the homeless issue in our city. Ultimately, what they want is an accountable leader to address and fix these problems, an individual capable of telling the truth regardless of the consequences or repercussions, someone to make the tough choices and tell hard facts and isn't afraid to defend their decision. What motivated me to run 2 years ago has been amplified here today. I'm seeking to fill this vacancy to protect, promote, and preserve D7 and represent our community to the best of my ability. To the City Council, here's my pledge. I'm here to listen and learn and to fight for my district just as hard as you fight for yours. High tide rises all ships, and together we can leave this incredible city better than we found it. I'm here to be constructive, forge relationships for the benefit of all. And what I do not know about building codes, I promise you I'll make up with hard work, an open mind, and a passion for public service. And I'll try to do it with a decent sense of humor. I will collaborate and build partnerships because I know together we can chip away problems nagging at our city and open incredible opportunities for all South Lakers. And I look forward to bringing this message to the voters this November. So let's do the hard work. Let's dare to do great things together. And maybe, just maybe, in the end, we'll do something more than make a difference. We'll do something historic.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, next is Adam Steed, followed by Molly Jones.
Hi. I think there's a lot of very qualified people here. So if I lose to any of you guys, I'm not going to feel bad. Sounds like a lot of passion and a lot of dreaming and a lot of real life applications. But I'm here probably for a different reason. I was homeless for 4.5 years, and kind of the turning point in the middle of it was my girlfriend was killed. And I kind of have what kind of got me into homelessness and then what got me out of it. Today I have a beautiful family. We have a little 3-week-old baby boy, my beautiful wife over there. And I had some pretty intense things. I'm an ordinary person. I believe ordinary people sometimes are part of extraordinary things. And just by crazy chance, I was probably the most famous whistleblower in the world for Boy Scouts of America child abuse scandal. I worked for 15 years changing laws behind the scene all over the country that led to the federal case with 97,000 victims coming forward. I've had probably hundreds of news articles and many documentaries. I had one at Sundance recently, and Netflix wants to do a story about it. During COVID, then they canceled it, but maybe they'll still do it. I don't know. But the other thing is what kind of led into the homelessness was I went to help my sister in Greece with refugees, and all these people were dying, and I started doing sea rescue, and I took all their Facebook information. The next thing I know, I was not trained, and I lost 17 kids that died in the ocean, and I had really bad PTSD for about 3 years. I couldn't even look at a kid like without crying. And little Syrians especially, but now I have a little baby that's half Syrian, and I feel healed, and I feel like I'm part of something beautiful. During that time, I took all those Facebook connections, and I ended up being what was called an intermediate for like half of the world press. I did the strategy for the rebels in Aleppo, people that were being framed like a Holocaust while democracies were paralyzed by just psycho-violent manipulations and ISIS propaganda. And I represented these people, their disasters. I had about 100 attorneys in Aleppo giving us all the war crimes, and I did the press strategy for a large section of these people. I had a partner that was a Syrian and a whole team of Syrians, and I was intermediate for the New York Times, BBC, The Guardian, and I got a Freedom Gala Award for stopping a dictator from killing 850 men in Syria. And we did about 30 world headlines, my team, all Syrians, and then me, and then the press. And I guess emotionally, I have been through enough stuff that I feel like I'm not worthy to even like participate in things, because there's a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that was super difficult to climb out of. But I also believe in turning painful things into beautiful purpose. And I look around this town and I don't understand all the problems. You guys are in the know and in the gears, and but I do think that I do know how to talk to people and understand them because of the experiences that were so difficult that I had to go through. They put perspective and communication in a vital area. And I know everything's going so fast right now in so many directions. And really, I still would never be here. But the conversation before my girlfriend was killed the night before, Brian Knappenberger, a Netflix producer, after an interview told me he thought I should run for office. And I laughed because I didn't think like I was good enough. Like, I was not popular in junior high, and I feel like I'm on the spectrum when it comes to figuring out all these things people know so well. But I told her that, and I laughed, and she was real serious. She said, well, you're brilliant and you're kind, and there's a lot of people out there that don't have a voice. And then she died unexpectedly, and I just kind of tried to find meaning of it. And you know how you just hear the words over and over, the last thing people tell you. And I was just trying to find meaning from it. And so all these years, I've just kind of felt, well, maybe I'm supposed to do something to help people. And so that's why I'm here, just for that reason. But if there is something that I could do to help, I will help. And I do want to help. I did, just on the homeless thing, I did connect when I was feeling like there was this huge veil of propaganda on all these doctors and school teachers being murdered like they were ISIS. I did connect women.
Time.
Okay. I'm finished. Thank you,
Adam. All right, Molly Jones, followed by Anthony Joseph Neiman.
Hello, my name is Molly Jones, and it is my most sincere wish to be selected to represent District 7 today. I went to the University of Utah for my 2 degrees in political science and international studies. I later got my certification in English language teaching to adults from Oxford and my project management professional certification from the Project Management Institute. And in 2013, I watched my dad die. My entire childhood, my dad battled cancer. As I became an adult, I started to learn that what happened on the municipal level affected my dad's ability to access care. I saw the city that we were living in become a leader in public policy to improve people's lives, and it gave my family meaningful time back that we otherwise would not have had. Because of this experience, I later became very active in my local government and passed an ordinance to help families just like mine. And that is why I stand before you today. I've had the pleasure of loving my darling husband for 11 years. We live directly next door to my brother and his partner. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, and grandmother live within a mile of us, and the rest of our family lives up and down the Wasatch Front. My husband is a part-time teacher at Highland High School, and we are small business owners together. We are very invested in and concerned about the future of our community. Salt Lake City faces a few major topics in the coming years. Density, transportation, open spaces, and education are at the top of the list. As it concerns density, our city is growing, and I love the way the City Council has found ways to increase density while also staying focused on preservation, investment in infrastructure, and green spaces to maintain the character of the city that we love. My husband and I rode our bikes here today because we care about using the investments the city has prioritized. We need to continue to think critically about pedestrian-first infrastructure, expansion of UTA, and further usage of tracks, Front Runner, and the S-Line. I want to help make sure that people in this city are able to navigate regardless of their life circumstances. Open spaces are a joy and a luxury. Mayor Mendenhall's rolling commitment to plant trees on the west side has been an inspiration and a treasure to our community. Similarly, the investment to parks in District 7 has benefited the neighborhood. I look forward to supporting these types of public works citywide. This job is not just about District 7. It's also about the entirety of Salt Lake City. I intend to work collaboratively with each and every one of you to find the best course of action that benefits the most people. Working to tear down historic prejudices, strengthening the bonds of communities, and ensuring that those who wish to live here can continue to do so is a worthy task, and one I wish to commit myself to. I believe in the power of collective action, compromise, and debate to strengthen our decisions and confirm our convictions. Years ago, I learned what local government can do for families like mine, and I am now committed to using my time and experiences to make a difference for those who need their local government to show up for them. Change is difficult, and we require leaders who can speak to all parties and seek compromises. Sometimes the best thing is something we never imagined, but we can't go to those unimagined places without first starting somewhere. I humbly ask you to start today by selecting me to represent District 7. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Molly. All right, Anthony Joseph Neiman, followed by Carlos Hugo Martins.
Hello, and thank you for having me here. My name is Anthony Neiman, and I've been a resident of District 7 since 2017. I live there with my wife, my 2 small kids, and my dog. We've been very happy. 2 weeks ago, I concluded 12 years of service in the U.S. Air Force, and I already knew I wanted to find a way to serve in a greater cause. With this vacancy available, I knew I had to apply. I care about my neighbors and where I live, and I know how to lead from the front and advocate for others. In 2016, I earned a spot in the first F-35 basic course in the Air Force. As senior officer of that class, integral to the rollout of F-35 combat capability, I have had to have a lot of adaptability and help everyone perform under public pressure with high expectations. My recent duties involved evaluating every fielded air-to-ground weapon the F-35 employs and representing the F-35 community as a primary safety investigator into the 2022 Hill Air Force Base crash and publishing the findings to my fellow pilots worldwide. My service and other life experiences have taught me valuable lessons in large responsibility, and I knew I wanted to challenge myself to serve my community in such an important role as City Council. Sugar House is a great place to live. I've been very fortunate to have so much positive development, and there's a lot to look forward to. The next stage is going to be making correct decisions to process the influx of more residents and traffic into a neighborhood and preserve the neighborhood feel everybody loves. It's clear we need improved funneling of pedestrians and traffic to avoid dangerous situations on 2100 South. I'd say the proposed 2100 construction, specifically the portion that will bring it down to one traffic lane, is not the answer. 2100 is a main traffic conduit, and we still need one there. I'm all for construction to assist left turns and a more robust crosswalk for urban trails like the McClellan Trail. But despite the claims of the proposal, I believe that construction will just funnel cars to side roads and residential streets, and that will pose a danger to quiet streets where kids play, not justifying a pedestrian-friendly half block in a busy area of the city. It's an example of something I think I have the district pulse on, and they need a council member that's going to highlight this over and over and make sure residents don't miss opportunities to advocate for themselves. Another example would be the liquor store moving to 2100 and 800 East. It'll create a worse bottleneck there, and more importantly, put stress on the residential areas right up against it. It hasn't moved yet, so let's reassess. If it's foregone for a reason I don't understand, there are things you can do to mitigate, At a minimum, protect 800 East and the nearby neighborhoods by declaring the 800 East neighborhood byway that's been long proposed, put up local-only access road signs, and traffic softening construction as soon as possible. And as a parting thought, if we really want less traffic in the area and all the benefits that come with it, we need a more frequent bus and mass transit schedule so that people have more options to arrive at their destination when they need to. Sugar House definitely wants to travel green. I say if you build it, they will come. The next issue that matters to my district matters to the city as a whole, and that's camping in the parks. Salt Lake has such beautiful green spaces that need to be safe and preserved for everyone's use. They're probably the city's top feature and such a good outlet for well-being. Camping there, while I understand, shouldn't happen in the parks. I know it's like trying to grasp water to figure out where people then go, which is why I'm such a big fan of the designated campground initiative right now in the near term. Long term, though, we've got to admit we need more capacity and a program overhaul to address homelessness. A full solution will require a lot more conversation than I can propose here. But one specific truth is that a sense of purpose and belonging helps heal mental health. To address that, I'd like to propose that we offer people money to assist in part-time work with the city. Give people a reason to be connected to where they live, feel dignity of earning and providing value, and a way to contribute beyond themselves. Especially improve the area where they're staying, but citywide depending on availability. I think that could do as much good for mental health as many other programs could. Camping in parks has improved recently, and there's been a noticeable effort by the police. I saw they doubled homeless contacts in the last year compared to previous years. So many city initiatives require their buy-in, and a lot's being asked of them. They do a good job here. I think we could acknowledge that and look toward the support they provided as they integrate new entities like the Civilian Response Team, which I like, and attend more man days of training annually. Those initiatives are well-intentioned and well-reasoned to assist the police and city, but I also know that we need to constantly assess and maximize the return value of police time and resources. As someone who served in a frontline position, I've experienced the integration of civilian resources and additional trainings, and I can say that sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but there's always growing pains, and you need feedback and to iterate on it. I think I have the perspective to help us close that feedback loop and make sure the resources provide the value envisioned. We need our frontline officers to be on top of their game and feel confident in the system to get the best results. Close out by saying that when I was in the Air Force, people were drawn to my leadership because I'd hear people out, put myself in their shoes, and make thoughtful decisions with both fairness and commitment to the greater mission in mind. I was an extremely effective advocate for my people, and even when I made a decision they didn't like, they always knew I'd take time to explain my reasoning. If they could point out where I was wrong, I'd admit it publicly and try to make it right. I'll do the same here. I feel ready to employ what I've learned in service to my district and make decisions in good faith with my neighbors and the city as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Council members, does anyone need a break? Good to keep going. Okay. The next applicant is Carlos Hugo Martins, and they will be followed by Allison Einerson.
Good afternoon, council members, and thank you for your time and the opportunity to be considered for District 7 position. My name is Carlos Martins, and I grew up in District 7 area. I moved to Utah from Portugal when I was 8. I moved to District 7 when I was 11, and my first job was there as a paperboy. I went to the local schools. I went to East High School, Highland High School, and later I went to Salt Lake Community College, where I studied political science under Dr. Josh Gold. I've owned properties in Salt Lake, and I ran a small business here for 7 years. I'm excited to call myself a Salt Laker, and I'm proud to be a Salt Laker. I'm also a proud new father, which is my main inspiration for applying for this position. I want to help ensure the future generations have a safe, inhabitable, and viable future in Salt Lake. I'm also extremely fortunate and privileged to have had the American dream become a reality for me. I don't have the same background as a lot of the council members or applicants, and I think that that's what would suit me well for this position. I could bring a different perspective. I believe I would have a different perspective to the council, which would add to the diversity of our community's representation. And we all know diversity in communities enriches communities. At the same time, being diverse or different shouldn't mean that we cannot unite. I think a large majority of people would come together and agree that the top priorities facing District 7 are also some of the priorities facing Salt Lake City as a whole. These include environmental issues like air quality, drying Great Salt Lake, affordable housing, sheltering the unsheltered community, dealing with our infrastructure, roads, traffic, education, healthcare, and the common problems that come with a rapidly growing city like ours. one of my major concerns is the air quality. And we all know we live here. When it's bad, it's horrible. Our pollution, inversion, and ozone, coupled with the drying Salt Lake, could deal Utah a devastating environmental catastrophe that would change life as we know it. The second thing that I think is our biggest challenge is affordable housing and sheltering the unsheltered community. According to the Tribune, approximately 8,637 people became homeless for the first time in 2022. There just simply isn't enough housing or affordable housing for our city. It is important to note that addressing housing and the unsheltered community requires a multifaceted, collaborative approach involving various stakeholders, including local government, community organizations, residents, businesses, and the City Council is just one part of a broader effort to promote equity and to improve the quality of life for residents and guests. When it comes to the roads and the traffic, we need to find creative, environmentally friendly solutions that deal with the growing pains of a booming city. This would include smart lights, roundabouts, carpool incentives, and public transportation. Specifically, as I mentioned in my application, one major challenge facing District 7 is the 1100 East construction between 2100 South and 2700 South. The damage from the fire and the amount of time that has lapsed has made the community reluctant to support the idea of more construction. At least that's what I was hearing at the 2100 South project meeting held at Highland High School. I've been going to a lot of these meetings for some time, observing and listening to people who live in District 7 and across Salt Lake. Yesterday, I attended the Crossroads event held at Liberty Park, and I had the pleasure to meet some local volunteers and mayoral candidates. In addition to these events and meetings, I've also been involved in volunteering with Promise South Salt Lake, coaching soccer with the Refugee Soccer Program, and the She Belongs founder, Adam Miles. Just want to give a shout out to the girls of the She Belongs tournament who are currently representing us in Tokyo. Volunteering and serving our city has been an extremely rewarding experience and is something that I admire greatly in each and everyone who sits on the council and each and everyone who runs for office and all of the applicants here. That being said, the council members have a unique opportunity to choose a road less traveled. There are some applicants who have served for the city in the past, and while that might make them a shoo-in, please keep in mind that this would be a very short term, so why not choose someone that would add to this ever-growing community's diversity? Again, my name is Carlos Martins, and a vote for me would be a vote for a local, a vote for a dreamer, and a vote for a road less traveled. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. All right, the next applicant is Allison Einerson, and they will be followed by Byron Lee Bowman.
Hello, I'm Allison Enerson, and I'm really thrilled for the opportunity to be here and speak with you guys today. I have lived in Sugar House for just about 20 years now, raising my family there. I have 2 children in the public school system, one at Hillside Middle, one at Highland High School, and we love Sugar House. We love living there. We love being a part of the community. I think Salt Lake City School District is one of the best in the state. I'm biased there. They're getting to the age where they use their school issued bus passes. They jump on city buses, they jump on tracks. They're using public transportation to go into the heart of Sugar House, to go to the local shops there, to get a boba tea and explore the neighborhood safely, and to really find their own footing in a neighborhood that is unique and diverse and funky and really safe enough for them to be able to have that opportunity. I spent more than a decade running the downtown farmers market, and one of the most important roles there, while it's a fun place to spend a Saturday, it's really truly an economic development engine for the city. And so it was one of my great pleasures to help people get a tent and a table, and then watch them grow into brick and mortar locations that would support our city with really innovative new businesses, independent businesses, the kind of businesses that really bring the charm and the character and the uniqueness to a place like Salt Lake City. It gave me a really front row seat to that, and my time at the Downtown Alliance did as well. Obviously, we have a lot of issues that we need to deal with in Salt Lake City, not the least of which is our unhoused population. I don't think there are any easy answers to this problem. I was in the thick of it for a very long time. I saw a lot of successes and I saw a lot of failures, and I am really excited to be part of what I think are some interesting discussions about changing the way we're dealing with it now and looking at newer solutions, looking at some different kind of camping solutions, looking at the way that we're administering services and doing it in a way that can be more effective than it has been done in the past. I think affordable housing is a huge issue, obviously, particularly in Sugar House as the real estate prices continue to rise, the land values continue to rise. How do we create a space within the district that offers a place for everyone to be and not just those who can afford to buy an expensive condo, even though expensive condos are lovely? I want to be a part of that impact and help to really improve the lives of all of our citizens. I think it's a lot of people don't understand how much effect city council policy has on their daily lives. It has a lot more to do with your daily life than sometimes who the president is. And I have always been really engaged with who my council members are and who the council members are that don't serve my district. I think the ideas, the solutions, the way that city council works and the way they interact with the mayor's office truly has an impact on people's daily lives. And I would love to have the opportunity to be a part of that. And I think that is all that I have for now. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, the next applicant is Byron Lee Bowman. They will be followed by Rainier Huck.
I'm Byron Lee Bowman. Everybody calls me Lee. Years ago, I was born in Granger, Utah. Ended up moving up to Bountiful and graduating from Bountiful High. Day I got my 16th birthday, got my driver's license. That's when I discovered Salt Lake, and I found out that's where I wanted to be. We came into Salt Lake to eat, to goof off, to go to dances, concerts. My first job was usher at the Salt Palace. That was the best job in the whole world. Got to see concerts for free, got to go to the hockey games, the basketball games. Then I started working for my dad, and that business is still in Salt Lake City. It's in Glendale area right now. Got lucky and married a wonderful woman. She has two businesses in Salt Lake City, one in the downtown district and one in the central city, in Trolley Square. We've seen a lot of changes in the area. One of our favorite changes, well, not really favorite, we used to like what used to be before the Sugar Household. It was a nice little place, kind of like the ninth and ninth area. And then suddenly it got torn down and we had a Sugar Household. You know, those of you around long enough recognize the Sugar Household. It got built up. They put all kinds of buildings around. Most of them followed in nice ways. It didn't have a tight main street feel to it with the skyscrapers right up next to you. But then they built that other big apartment complex, and it kind of made me wonder whether the Sugar Household was cursed because suddenly that $57 million project burned down. I was hoping there'd be a green space. Maybe there's still an opportunity for that to be a green space. Some of the problems and things I see around Salt Lake aren't really huge problems. They're minor problems that we can address. Some of the ones I know about are the homeless situation. There's a difference between homeless and unhoused, in my opinion. My wife and I have dealt with the unhoused, and we've moved several of them into our home over the course of the years. Most of them are doing extremely well, and several of them have families with children now. I believe the teeny homes is a good start, and organized encampments might be another. And that way they could put people into an area where the service providers could help those that desired and really wanted to help to get out and better their lives. And then there's the other ones that kind of make it look bad for everybody else. Like I attended the meeting on the redesign of Main Street yesterday. It's yesterday? Monday. As soon as the meeting was over, I walked outside. Right there in front of the Walker building was a homeless man screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs. And everybody was trying to walk around him off to the side of the street, Main Street, and up next to the building, to get around him. Then obviously, something like that's more of a mental health issue. And you can't force them into treatment. You can't, you can kind of persuade them and assist them in looking for treatment. But there are issues that I think need to be addressed. And the city's moving in the right direction for some of those. The growth has developed a few things in my mind. There's a difference between affordable housing and low income housing. Salt Lake City, none of my employees can live in Salt Lake City. They all live in Magna, West Valley, Tooele, Saratoga Springs, Layton, Roy. None of them live in Salt Lake. And I think that's one of the issues that we need to look at. Low income housing. My employees make too much money to be considered low income housing, but they don't make enough money to get a $2,400 2-bedroom apartment in Sugar House. And that's another issue too, is the developments. The number of units allowed versus the number of parking spaces allotted. If you go down the Sugarmont Apartments in Sugarmont Drive, there's no parking in Sugarmont Drive. It's taken up by all the residents. West Temple between 9th South and 8th South is another example. Both sides of the street are almost always full of cars. And almost every time you pass a building, you'll find out that there's just either no places inside the building to park, or everybody just opts to park on the street. My brother-in-law owns a condo, and one of his problems is the people he rent it to, they don't have any place for their guests. They're a 2-income family. They have two vehicles. So I was doing research for all this, that one of the buildings that was approved to be built was 290 units with 271 parking stalls. I don't know how many of you are married or have significant others, but I would guarantee that almost everybody here has at least one, if not two cars. My wife's family lives in Logan. So every time we go to Logan to visit them for Sunday dinner, we'd have to go to Enterprise Rent-A-Car and rent a car. And I love Sugar House. Lived there for 17 years. Got 2 cats, 4 lovely kids. One I want to wring his neck every now and then. But thank you.
Thank you, Byron.
Is that right?
Okay. We have a bathroom break requested. If it's all right, we'll take a quick 5 minutes. Mr. Huck, I'm sorry. We're going to take a quick break so that council members can take a break. I won't call anyone out by name. But I will call the next name. Oh, sound is off. Am I back? Okay. So following Rainier Huck, it'll be Sarah Young. from break. Thank you for allowing us that. Just so you know, if we're looking this way, it's because we have monitors here that we can see a little bit better, so it's not that we're ignoring you. But with that, Rainier Huck, and then followed by Sarah Young.
My name's Rainer Huck. I'm an almost lifelong resident of Salt Lake City. My parents brought me here in 1949 from the rubble of war-torn Europe to start a new life. And I think they certainly made the right decision in doing that. So I went to school in Salt Lake City. I attended the University of Utah for 10 years and emerged with a PhD in electrical engineering. A big advantage of that degree is that it taught me rational and logical thought and also how to think quantitatively. And I think this will be a big bonus to be on the council to have this sort of thing. Also, I want to point out, and this should get me a few extra points, today's my 77th birthday. And I want to also say that, you know, the age gives me a different perspective on a lot of things. And as a result, I think it would provide balance to the council, which is pretty much younger people, except maybe this gentleman here. And and such would be quite useful. I ran for mayor twice, and I ran for city council number 7 in the last election. And as you may notice, I did not win. So I have maybe another small chance now. The major issue that I would like to pursue is the situation of the homeless people. During those campaigns, I presented my concept of the homeless campus, which would be like a self-contained little mini-city where the homeless people would be provided with everything that they need to live the life that they would like to. The campus would have dormitory-style indoor housing. It would have outdoor housing. It would have covered places for tents and open air for tents. It would have a medical clinic. It would have food service and sanitary facilities. And this would give the homeless people a place where they could live in safety and not be exposed to difficult conditions like this winter, where there are a number of serious frostbite injuries among the homeless when it was so cold. The current solutions are not practical, they're expensive, and they don't provide for even a small fraction of the people we have living on the streets now. And that would be a tremendous bonus for them. Also, I would like to address the situation with the costs, that some of the costs that the city imposes on lower income and working people, particularly the water bills, which were raised a lot last year in order to cope with the drought. The drought is over now. The reservoirs are overflowing, and the streams are running full force into the Great Salt Lake. And I think it'd just be a nice thing to reverse that increase in the water bill so people can water their lawns and restore the beauty to Salt Lake, which now is full of dead and dying lawns. In addition to that, watered lawns increase the humidity and will actually lower the temperature of the city. So I present you as a diversity candidate, as somebody that's a little different, and provide the perspective of age and experience to the council. Thank you very much.
Thank you and happy birthday. Sarah Young is next, and Sarah will be followed by Lisa Yoder.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Sarah Young, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today as a candidate for the District 7 vacancy. I've been involved in public service in Utah for the past 11 years, currently serving as Chief of Staff at the Utah State Board of Education. We're neighbors. My office is just right across the street from here. In this role, I support the personnel, policies, and resources for Utah public education systems. But more importantly, I also support the future leaders of Salt Lake City who are currently students in our classrooms today. Before I delve into my experiences and qualifications, I'd like to share what motivated me to pursue a career in public service. Growing up, my father, a civil engineer, moved our family around the country for various road projects. During one of these moves, I went from being an on-grade level first grade student in a Florida elementary school to being placed in the lowest math class in second grade as I entered a new school in Colorado. I was the same child, but differences in educational policy across state lines really impacted my educational journey significantly. Challenge breeds purpose, and I've spent my career trying to reduce these disparities in our public systems, which not only affect our education efforts, but also create barriers and inequity for our adults and senior citizens when they find themselves as new residents, such as here in Salt Lake City community. As a candidate, I'm committed to working with the council to create coherent policies and systems that improve opportunities for all members of our community while still honoring the local control that's essential to city residents. A fellow community leader stated that the work of education is very similar to a city council, and I agree that there's many alignments. For example, city council diligently considers transportation needs and planning, and if you've ever driven through an elementary school at drop-off time or pickup, you appreciate that our school leaders also have to consider the role of how to best support pedestrians, vehicles, and cyclists when they're engaging in the community. A key challenge of District 7 is infrastructure and transportation, such as the current construction on 2100 South and 1100 East that are being faced by residents such as myself and local businesses. I'm committed to working on policy and budget decisions that improve the infrastructure, enhance transportation systems, and alleviate traffic congestion that is brought on by growth and increased density in housing. By prioritizing sustainable and efficient transportation options, advocating for necessary infrastructure upgrades, and exploring innovative solutions that balance pedestrian needs and automobile traffic, I will aim to enhance the overall quality of life for our residents and make commuting more convenient and environmentally friendly. As Chief of Staff, my everyday work entails problems. Big problems, small problems, problems with financial operations, problems with policy, and the best ones, the ones that involve both financial and policy. As for some people, that may be stressful, but I love it. Each problem is a puzzle to be solved, and I enjoy collaborating with experts across the system to develop solutions. Whether it's a solution that supports the over 660,000 students in Utah K-12, or a solution that helps one second grader who's new to the state get into the right math class, I feel a great deal of satisfaction helping our community. In my time with the agency, I've personally been involved in several key initiatives that are aligned with this opportunity to join the council. These include working with community leaders to address the needs of underserved student populations, using data to inform policy decisions, implementing the agency's strategic plan, and overseeing the internal controls and distribution of Utah K-12's $1 billion COVID-19 pandemic relief funding. I've also collaborated with state and local elected officials on projects and have experience with the state legislature. And in my experience, it extends beyond traditional education topics. I've worked on projects such as improving broadband infrastructure in rural Utah, partnering with community leaders on public health campaigns like the Period Project, and leading the redesign of the agency's performance measures to provide transparency to taxpayers on how their funds are being spent. I work in government all day long, and I possess organizational skills, curiosity, a strong sense of responsibility to taxpayers, and a desire to innovate, which I will bring to my work if selected to join the council. In my remaining time, I want to close with a personal value of gratitude. I urge everyone leading and listening today to take a moment to express gratitude to a public servant. This may be a teacher, a police officer, or an amazing member of the staff here in Salt Lake City. Gratitude is a valuable currency that we often overlook, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring that to you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, Lisa Yoder is next, and Lisa will be followed by Amy Horman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for considering my application to serve with the Salt Lake City Council. I'm excited to have this time to talk with you about why I want this seat and how my experience, personality, and desire to represent District 7 will add depth and perspective to the exceptional work that you're already doing for the city. As I thought about what I wanted to convey today, it occurred to me that you already have my resume. I'm on LinkedIn. May have seen my campaign website. You've seen the many highlights of my 18-year career as a public employee in state and local government. I believe that you'll find my credentials reflect the knowledge of government and experience that would help the council continue to address our housing and development issues, air quality, traffic concerns, in ways that add to the character of Salt Lake City and keep it desirable for people to live and for businesses to thrive, while maintaining the inevitable by minimizing the inevitable environmental impacts that our existence on this earth imparts. Much of the work completed in the areas, much of the work that I've completed in the areas of affordable housing, clean fuels and transportation, energy efficiency, and renewable energy continues to serve residents, businesses, and local governments today. In fact, I believe Tuesday you considered next steps on the Community Renewable Energy Act program that I helped craft a couple years ago with staff from Salt Lake City and Park City. I've seen firsthand the impact of public policy on the agencies and people that it impacts. Too often, well-intentioned policymakers have insufficient knowledge of the implications of enacting policies, especially those that are underfunded. So I bring the knowledge of how government trickles down and affects those. So today, since you have the opportunity to select the person to serve on the council with you, I want to give you a vision of who I am and what I would bring to the council if selected. As a little girl, I often attended town hall meetings with my grandfather, who was a leader in the community, and my aunt, who was the town treasurer. They instilled in me the importance of contributing to my community. My mother worked with Senator Gaylord Nelson to create and celebrate the first Earth Day, which inspired a great appreciation of environmental stewardship. My father ran for assemblyman, and I campaigned for him as a teenager. I've been campaigning for good leaders ever since. In fact, I ran for state senate in February of 2022. I know what it takes to run a political campaign, and I'm prepared to run for District 7. My ability to collaborate with people of divergent views, find common ground, and solve complex problems have been the hallmarks of my many successes. For example, in 2019, I was working with Summit County Council members on the Congressman Bishop's Public Lands Initiative to expand the Uintas Wilderness Area and create a watershed protection area in exchange for consolidation of public lands parcels. The stakeholder group consisted of local municipality leaders, public lands managers, environmentalists, and generational ranchers. We ended up taking a tour of the Uintas, and I ended up the truck with the most conservative, anti-government mayor in the county, literally sitting next to him, bumping shoulders as we bounced along dirt roads. As he began to let his guard down, I got to know him and what was important to him. It was the same thing that was important to me and all of us in the group. We found that we wanted to protect the land that we loved. Through that consensus, we were able to negotiate and come to a consensus on the public lands bill. I bring a calm, level-headed demeanor, thoughtful consideration of all alternatives to all that I do. I am deliberate and innovative while respecting historic progress and advancing progressive, workable solutions. I have a spirit of cooperation, a sense of humor, although I'm a little serious. I've lived in Mill Creek, Liberty Park, Holiday, Rose Park, Summit Park, and now Sugar House for the past 5 years. Each community offered a slice of experience that I bring to the council. I've been a renter, a homeowner. I love learning and being challenged. I have a degree in master's of public administration. I am inspired by the cultural diversity and dedication and youthfulness of this council. However, some of you expressed the need for greater generational diversity on the council, which I would bring. Being retired, I have time to devote to the residents of District 7 and the city as a whole. I've learned of some of your concerns as a governing body, and I am thrilled at the prospect of contributing my skill set to help the council. Thank you. Please consider me for your selection.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, Amy Horman is next, followed by Keith Haney, and I believe that is the last applicant.
I thought I was going to be very last. Hello, thank you for your time today. I've really appreciated this process and the questions, and I've loved every 25 of my drafts in answering those questions. So today I'd like to kind of tell you more about myself and why I think I'm a good fit for this position. When I threw it out there and decided that I wanted to go for this vacant seat, I've just been overwhelmed with support from my friends and neighbors and community leaders. And it's really bolstered my confidence that this is the right thing at the right time. And I realized that I've always been able to be a fulcrum in my community, and I've been putting in work, on this level for many years. I moved to the house I currently live in 2007 to raise my kids there. And as soon as my oldest went to Nibley Park, I asked, how can I get involved? And then chaired the school community council for a decade. I didn't probably know I was going to get into that at the time, but I found that I really love working in collaboration with a body like that. Shared governance is our friend. And I've loved looking at my community and how we can improve our school and our community and remove some of those challenges that our families in our schools face. In 2015, around my dining room table, members of my community and our city council representative at the time worked on how we can welcome the growth of the S-line and how we can make sure we're on the front end of a lot of that development so that it's appropriate for our neighborhood and so that we can welcome that growth in organized fashion and have less of the little, one little house surrounded by 5-story buildings. I've just been happy to be engaged with my community, and in 2020 was contacted by a group of friends, neighbors, community leaders who wanted to have a welcome party for the new winter temporary shelter in Sugar House. And they'd been so successful in welcoming the in-between in their neighborhood, but didn't live in my neighborhood. So I was so honored to be part of that event and the planning of that and get to be the person who knocked on all the doors and said, hey, do you have any concerns about what's happening here? Let's talk about what this project is. And we were able to plan an event in a very short period of time to welcome our community. There was a huge donation drive, and we were scrambling to get trucks and trailers to transport all of the donations. And then I got boxes and bags on my front porch for weeks of donation. So my work in D7 has been longstanding, and I now have the opportunity to work in D1 and D2 in my work with the Jordan River Commission. I've learned so much about issues on the river, and I feel that I provide an understanding of some of those pressures that we see citywide. These lines that are drawn between the district are imaginary lines, and in collaboration and everyone working together, that is how we build the vibrant city that we will. I feel uniquely qualified by that, and also very, very common in that I'm a solo parent and sole provider for 3 teenagers. I'm just like a lot of people in our community. And when I see these great plans that we have with a Thriving in Place that was recently unveiled, and the things like Plan Salt Lake that was adopted in 2015, I feel like we have these roadmaps and these ways that we can implement these strategies to achieve these lofty goals for our city. And I feel like I could roll my sleeves up and really hit the ground running. And I would love to serve on this council. So thank you. And that's all.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, the final applicant is Keith Haney.
Good evening, Council, and thanks to the city and you guys for allowing me the opportunity to speak here today. And since I'm the last one here, I'll give a quick kudos to all the other applicants. You've all done a great job. Like I said, my name's Keith Haney. I live in the Sugar House area and have for about 8 years. I was born and raised in Utah, and I've lived in Salt Lake ever since I attended the University of Utah back in the late 90s. I live with my wife and 13-year-old son who are here with me today, and I work in the technology industry as a director for strategy and planning with a public software company. When I'm not working or with my family, I am an avid runner. I'm a huge Utah Jazz fan, and I have volunteered for the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization for the last 4 years as a big brother. The reason I'm applying for city council today is I've always been interested in government and an advocate of government and what it can do for the community. I received my bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Utah, and I'm at a place in my career and with my family that I'm ready to serve and make sure that our community is bigger and better and stronger. I'm excited to bring my experience to the district and believe I'm qualified because of the leadership that I have in my career, my organizational skills, the strategy and planning experience that I have, and the ability to execute on those plans. I think there are many skills that are successful for being a city council member. One is the ability to listen and learn. And I pride myself on being able to listen to my clients and coworkers in my daily life and would do so with my community. You know, we were driving down here and going through the traffic, and we were joking about if I got this role, I would have to listen to all the complaints about what's going on. And I first had a moment of panic, and then I thought, well, you know what? Bring it on. Let's do this, right? I'm up for that task. And then the other skill set that I really think I bring to the table is experience with budget and planning. In my daily job, I manage a budget, and it's hard to work with the trade-offs that you have to do when you're working with budgeting. You can't have everything you want. You don't have everything, have all the time to do everything you need to. And so it's making those hard choices that leads to success. And I'm up for the task of making those hard choices. The areas that I'd like to focus on the city council are primarily sustainable economic growth. In the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth in both commercial and residential activities in the district, and I want to make sure that is encouraged and continues to occur in our district. But I also understand the impact that it has on the public spaces. I'm a runner, and I run in Sugar House Park every morning, and I run by the same homeless couple that camps out there every day on the corner of 21st and 13th. And I think to myself, there's got to be a better way that we can, work with these people to help them, their lives, and help our community be stronger and better. The other area that I want to focus in on is the environmental impact we have as we go through this growth. I was recently engaged with the activity around Sugar House Park and the proposed gas station. I got involved and voiced my opinion and my feelings and thoughts, and with the community, we were able to achieve a successful outcome in terms of what we wanted for the park and for the area. And I was encouraged by the impact that we could have and that I had there, and it kind of encouraged me to be where I'm standing today with you all. Last but not least, I'm really focused on community well-being. A lot of people have talked about that today, and I'm equally invested there. The question I would ask myself every day if I was selected here is, why do people want to live in District 7? And how does our budget and our city planning align to those impacts of the answers to those people's questions, or that question? I know some of the things that I want. I know some of the things that my neighbors want. We've heard today what people want. For example, my son will be attending Highland High School in a few years, so I'm uniquely interested in the rebuild project that's currently being proposed and underway there, and I want to stay involved in that, not only through my son's experience, but for years to come, because that's going to impact the whole community. It's not just about me or even the families and in the area that have kids attending Highland High School, but it's about everyone that's impacted by these decisions. And I want to be involved in that opportunity. I'm excited to listen and learn on this topic and many others if I was selected. And I know at the very least that the 15 people who have applied today can all stay involved, and I hope we all do, to make Sugar House and the entire district a better place to live in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Keith.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could I have a point of privilege?
Yes.
I promise it's going to be appropriate. So I
You're not trying to like sway our votes.
no
are you?
no none of that. So I just want to say that and I'm going to speak for myself, and I'm one of 6 here. And I'm the only one who didn't get appointed in the last process, but is sitting here today. That the vote today shouldn't reflect or shouldn't be interpreted as a judgment into your qualifications, your point of views, your experience, your love for your community, and you can hold it against them, but they're good people. I love them, and I give them crap about it all the time. But they are, just please stay involved. The amount of passion and energy and love for your community that you exhibit here is humbling, and I love it. And I hope that you, regardless of the outcome of what's happening here today, that you decided to stay involved, however you want to interpret that, because your point of views and your participation in this system makes us better. So I'm sorry for those that are not going to make it. Only one of you is going to. But again, don't take it too personal. And I guess I'm the fruit of, that. I didn't take it personal. I just did my thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pui.
Mr. Chair, I want to say a few things
All right,
as well.
Councilmember
Thank you.
Valdemoros. I guess we're all giving speeches now.
Apparently, we are. We love that. Listening to ourselves. No, I think when I came here and stood in front of Chris and the mayor, it was really nerve-wracking. It looked like this huge hill to climb, and it looked so formal, and it looked so scary. But then once I was chosen, I got to know them, and I got to see that we're all humans. And it's also nerve-wracking for the people that are here to make a decision, because we run campaigns or run for appointment, and also run that risk of being disappointed. And that's something that is still here, and I have to kind of like not think about it. But like what Councilmember Pui said, it's not a reflection on you and your excellency, the things that you have said and what you have written down. We love that people are interested in the city. We love that people have ideas, and we love that people want to make a difference. And that's why we're all sitting here today, trying to do that. And whoever wins tonight, we're going to be happy to have you sit amongst ourselves, but also the ones that will not make it, please stay involved. We need you. We really need this kind of energy that, sorry to copy, this kind of energy and this kind of excitement and positivity to want to make a change. So thank you.
Thank you. I guess Councilmember Wharton.
Yes, thank you. I know, will you open the gates? So now this is my 5th time filling a council vacancy in 6 years, which is never happened in the history of the city council. And it is, I really hate this process. It's defined by state statute, so we don't even get to pick how the process works. And we don't get to pick the timeline of how the process works. And as Councilmember Mono said earlier, the only people who don't get a say at all in the process are the people of District 7. And so that's an incredible amount of pressure. For me it is, at least. But I did want to thank everyone for the quality of your applications, the thoughtfulness of your responses to the questions, and echo what was said here. A lot of times when there are vacancies, a lot of people come out and apply and want to be involved, and not all of those people continue to stay involved. So I really hope that you will. And also, as Councilmember Pui said, that this is going to be up for, also not out of our control, also by state statute. This will be up for election in November, and so even if you're not selected, that you have another opportunity that is right in front of you to run. But I'm gonna make the vote, or I'm gonna vote for the person that I think would be the best representative for the district. But the people of District 7 may completely disagree with me in a couple months. And regardless of the outcome, I really do hope that you'll stay involved and find a way. We have a lot of boards and commissions that you can get involved with. There's the Sugar House Community Council. If you're not involved with them, they're a very active community council. And so there is a place for everybody to be involved if you want to, and if you're sincere about wanting to make District 7 a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wharton. Second to everything that they said, I have no clue who is going to be the council member, but I do know that I'm going to be happy because there are a lot of excellent candidates here. So we have a lot of great people to choose from. Thank you so much for being willing to represent your community and for being willing to do this often thankless and difficult job. I think staff is going to, oh, sorry, did I cut you? Did you? Okay. Staff is going to pass out ballots to us. As a reminder, council members, we get to choose 4, and then we'll take a break while staff tallies that up, and we will see if we need to go to a second round of voting or not.
Mr. Chair, we have to use 4 votes, right?
Do we have to use 4 votes? I actually don't know. We get to make the rules. Council members, do you think that Ali has to use all his votes?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Based on the probability of the rounds, it is encouraged that you use all 4 votes.
If Cindy Lou says it, we should do it. You must use all your votes.
It's not ranked choice.
Not
just
ranked
X's.
choice.
Or checks.
No, I don't think so. I think some of them match.
Yeah. Do we? does our break start right now?
I haven't voted yet, but yes, as soon as I vote.
Can we take a quick break?
Yes, we need to take a break while staff tallies the votes. So, 10 minutes? Oh. We can break. Okay. No one talk to Councilmember Wharton until he turns his ballot in. So we are back from break. The votes have been tallied, and our city recorder, Cindy Lou Trishman, will read the votes.
Prior, Mr. Chair, if I could get confirmation, do you want me to read the votes at the same time I'm sharing the screen count?
Whichever.
Okay.
I think read the votes. Why don't we go district by district?
Say that again.
Start with District 1 and just go
Yes.
down the line.
Councilmember Petro voted for Anthony Joseph Najman, Keith Haney, Lisa Yoder, Sarah Young. Councilmember Pui voted for Amy Horman, Hannah Renee Truax, Lisa Yoder, and Sarah Young. Councilmember Wharton voted for Amy Horman, Lisa Yoder, Molly Jones, and Sarah Young. Councilmember Valdemaros voted for Allison Anerson, Amy Horman, Lisa Yoder, and Sarah Young. Councilmember Dugan voted for Amy Horman, Lisa Yoder, Molly Jones, and Sarah Young. And Councilmember Dugan voted for Amy Horman, Eric Bigart, Lisa Yoder, and Sarah Young.
I think you said Councilor Dugan, but you actually meant my name for the previous one.
I'll read both of them again. Councilmember Mono voted for Amy Horman, Lisa Yoder, Molly Jones, and Sarah Young. Councilmember Dugan voted for Amy Horman, Eric Bigart, Lisa Yoder, and Sarah Young.
All right, so I think we have a tally we can show. And council members, we are technically in a work session, but we have the option of choosing any number of applicants to move forward into the next round of voting. If my tally is correct, there are 2 that received votes from all of us, and I believe 1 that received votes from 5 of us, and the remainder received 2 or fewer. So I will ask for council members to make a straw poll for which number goes forward. It looks to me like it's either 2 people or 3 people that would go forward to the next round.
Mr. Chair, I move that the 2 candidates who received 6 votes or 1 vote from each of us advance to a final vote.
Okay, so
what I shouldn't say final vote, to a next
Another
successive vote.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
May I entertain a little of a change on that, since, you know, if we see in the tally, there's obviously 3 candidates here that very, very close, that we change it to the top 3 getters. I know that I'm obviously part of this, but I think it just to be fair, I think it would be nice to put the 3 top contenders, the 2 that got 6 votes and the 1 that got 5. I would like to support that.
As procedure, does it matter which straw poll we call first?
I think
Go ahead.
I think we have to vote on one. I think we have to vote on each of them.
Yeah, separately.
Yeah.
Do we vote on Councilmember Ward's first?
So I think you vote my amendment and see if it goes through, and if it fails, then it goes to Councilmember Ward.
I don't know, because we're not actually
Yeah,
in a
it's a
formal
little
session.
tricky
This is straw
because
poll, so
it's a little tricky because you weren't being formal in making a motion and an amendment to a motion. How it would work in the formal meeting is that you would vote on the amendment before you vote on the motion itself. So you can follow that model, or you can say we're being informal and let's do.
we have there's no straw poll model, right?
Right.
No.
Okay,
No.
I guess we'll follow the formal model.
So the amendment first.
So the amendment. Okay, so the Are there any other amendments to this?
No.
Okay, so the first vote is
That's
thumbs up if you want to go with Councilmember Pui's suggestion of choosing 3, thumbs down if you do not. Okay. I see 5 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down.
Okay.
So we will be having Amy Horman, Lisa Yoder, and Sarah Young moving on to the next round. Congratulations to the 3 of you. Okay, I am going to put the 3 of your names back in the bowl, if I can find them. And we will call you. We're gonna make you think on the fly. So I will pick a name, and then Lehua will draw. Who's drawing the question? Okay. I'm randomly selecting a name and a question. How am I doing that? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna write numbers on a piece of paper. Just one moment. I need to make some papers. 6. Okay, I'll read the questions while I'm making papers. Actually, I'll just cut the questions. Are there scissors anywhere? Okay. Question 1 is, there have been and will be controversial requests before the council. Describe your approach on taking competing community feedback. Question number 2 is, tell us about a city or District 7 program, project, or event that you have been a part of and how that has shaped your interest in civic involvement. Number 3 is, in terms of the city's relationship with the legislature, share what your main priorities are. Question number 4 is, in terms of how the issue of affordable housing affects the city as a whole, what are your main priorities? Number 5 is, in terms of how the issue of homelessness affects the city as a whole, share what are your main priorities. And question 6 is, as one city council member, you need the cooperation and collaboration of the council members to achieve many goals or projects. Describe how you would approach this collaboration. So you'll be getting one of those 6 questions.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just for clarity, are you putting a time on the response?
Oh, yes. I think we had said 2 minutes. So
I think it was between 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
We'll defer to
Council
you.
members, would you like 2 or 3 minutes? 2.5 minutes. You get 2.5 minutes.
All right, thank you.
That's 30 seconds longer than public comment. Okay, I'll draw. I need to write the numbers. Hold on. This is really high tech the way we're doing this. Okay, I'm going to draw the name first, and I'm going to ask Councilmember Valdemoros to draw the question. Do you mind helping me?
Absolutely.
Okay. The first name is Sarah Young.
Do you want me to read the question?
What's the question number? And I can read it.
Number 2.
Question number 2 is, tell us about a city or District 7 project, program, or event that you have been a part of and how that shaped your interest in civic involvement.
Address you again. Again, my name is Sarah Young and appreciate the council's consideration of my candidacy. When it comes to a city or a District 7 project, program, or event, one that comes to mind that's going to be near and dear to my heart was when our schools were hit with closure during the COVID-19 pandemic. That was clearly arresting for the entire community, but no more so than for our youngest members of the community who went from being able to engage with their peers in a way that was a day-to-day building of knowledge and social skills to really being isolated. And I think one of the key aspects of that response was the coordination between the city and the school district to be able to be on the same page when it came to how were we going to collectively keep our kids safe through different aspects of PPE, as well as engaging in social distancing when possible, but at the same time, making sure they have access to school. And that includes partnering with libraries to be able to distribute hotspots, Chromebooks. I was involved in that aspect. And I just have to say that when we talk about opportunities for the city to work with others, one of the greatest and treasures that we have is our children. And I just appreciated that opportunity as a member of the community to be there, not just for my own child, but for other families as well. So thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, the next name is Amy Horman. And the question?
Number, I put the question back because it could answer the same question, right?
That was yes, sure.
What?
I'm okay with that. I wasn't expecting that, but that's tricky. You
What's that?
also got question number 2, which is tell us about a city or District 7 project, program, or event that you have been a part of and how that shaped your interest in civic involvement.
Well, the one going back to the beginning, if you know me at all, is the tennis courts on Sugarmont and 9th East. That was my first real engagement in this neighborhood that I live in now. And many years ago, some neighbors and I got together and we built a little community garden on that spot and wrote grants and, went through all this great red tape and learned how the processes work when your neighborhood wants to do something together. And that ran its course. It was there for 3 years. And since then, it's been such a pleasure to be part of the conversation of what goes next, right? I don't claim to know the answer or get to answer that question, but that tennis court, my involvement with that for so long has been this great exercise in it could look like this and it could look like that. And I think the most important part of these conversations we have is that we're all going in a common direction. And the path might be different to get there, right? And so there's not necessarily a wrong path if we're all going in the right direction. So that's been a really fun thing to engage with my community about. And it's been the one thing that out of the blue, someone will want to talk about with me. So that's that's the tennis courts.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, the last name is Lisa Yoder. I know, are you going to pick the same one?
Turn it upside down. Handwriting. See what it is. So
that's a 3.
Okay.
Obviously, that's a 3. Question number 3 is, in terms of the city's relationship with the legislature, share what your main priorities are.
Oh, thank you for that question and this opportunity to be in the second round. In terms of the relationship with the legislature, I would work to improve the city's relationship with the legislature. In Summit County, we had the distinction of usually being knocked out of any kind of consideration just by virtue of being Summit County and disliked by the legislature. So I'm familiar with kind of some of their antics and how they can throw their weight around and limit the abilities of local government to do the work that they've been challenged to do. So that's what I would do, is I would work with specifically the more difficult members of the legislature that are resistant. I would meet with them, get to know what's going on with them, what their concerns are, and just help the council and the city build a better relationship, bridges. It'd be a long-term effort, but I would definitely just approach it head on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. I think we are voting for one now. Does anyone think differently? Okay. Do we have another ballot?
The ballots are being printed.
Okay. Hold, please. We have a proposal on the table to make you do that again and answer a second question.
I actually was thinking that we should try to do that too, so I will support that.
That's rude, but
I feel like we should ask the candidates if they think that's fair, because that is definitely
do they get to
springing that
vote?
on
Can
them.
the candidates?
Yeah, like
don't
I
know
think
if
we should
that's-
respect their emotional labor here.
It's only 7.5 minutes.
Is there any objection to answering a second question from any of the three candidates? Okay, let's do it again. That was weird.
But it cannot be the same questions.
Let's take out number 2 and 3.
Great.
Okay, so
One moment.
let's see. Let me get the right numbers. Where's the third one?
Whatever that is.
I'm missing Sarah. Where is? Oh, there it is. I actually appreciate that, Councilman Wharton, because this is really hard, and I don't know who to choose, to be honest. So, are we ready? The first name is Sarah Young. Question is number 6. As one city council member, you need the cooperation and collaboration of the other city council members to achieve many goals or projects. Describe how you'd approach this collaboration.
So I'm really fortunate to currently work for a 15-member board. And so as a part of that, we have a lot of dialogue and discussion about being able to find those opportunities for cooperation and collaboration. I think first and foremost in taking action in that space, it's important to recognize that everyone is going to have a different point of view and that that's okay. We're not in a space of saying we all have to agree at all times to be able to advance policy and provide supports for the city. So once you recognize that everyone's going to have a different opinion, the next step for me is always asking about priorities, because my experience is that most people have an opinion on something, but they may not have it listed in their top 5 priorities of things that they want to take action on and what those pieces look like. Once you've identified the priorities of different individuals, that's where you start to look for where do we have coherence? Where do we have agreement? Where are there topic areas where, regardless of the citizens that we represent, we all believe in advancing a specific ordinance, policy, or funding aspect? Once we have those areas of coherence, those are what we choose to start with in terms of advancing the effort. Ultimately, then having those opportunities to collaborate and lead us to a place where then we can address some of the more difficult decisions, where there's differences of opinion. But by starting with those pieces we agree upon, we build that foundation of trust, which I think is essential for any good governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, the next is Lisa Yoder.
Question number 5.
Sorry, that's my turn. Number 5 is in terms of the issue of in terms of how the issue of homelessness affects the city as a whole, share what are your main priorities?
Thank you for that question. Addressing homelessness as a whole is obviously complex. As you all know, you've been working on it and made great strides. As you know, there are different sectors and different reasons that people are homeless. So there's no one size fits all solution. There's the people who are homeless by choice, people homeless by mental health issues or substance abuse. There's economic reasons for homelessness. So there's not one solution to fit all. But I do see that the city has done a tremendous amount already, and it's not even necessarily within the purview of the city. the housing homelessness is primarily a state and county function. But my priority would be to identify what the causes, segregate those populations and solutions to those causes, and build on what's been done, what's been successful here already, and build on the successes found in other communities.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lisa. And the last is Amy Horman. Oh, and yes, the question.
Sorry, 5.
Question 5, which is the question of, in terms of how the issue of homelessness affects the city as a whole, share what are your main priorities?
I'm lucky to have been able to participate in the pit count for the last, 4 or 5 years that's happened. And I'm lucky to be able to engage with people on the Jordan River often and see the complications that people face. I know that as has already been said, the solution is going to be as unique as each one of those individuals, right? So what works for one person isn't going to work for another. I think that being able to put in motion all of these great ideas from all of the experts. We have so many great organizations working on this issue that it will be a mountain of collaboration, and it will be about finding the validity in all of these different approaches, because we need such a multifaceted answer. It's not one answer. It's going to need to be an answer as unique as every individual, and finding a way to, get people into those solutions for them. I think that looking throughout the country, as I know that a lot of you have done, to see what's successful in other places. We're not unique in this city. We can look to cities that there may be things that are working. We can also look at things that are for sure not working, and have an approach where we're not, where we're going deliberate, and where we're going thoughtfully and listening to all of those experts. I know I'm for sure not an expert, but I'm really interested in hearing and learning and getting down to finding those solutions, doing the work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right. No more rounds of questions, right? No more questions. All right, council members, you have a ballot with 3 names on it. Please vote for 1. Yes, only 1. And put your name on it, too. This is not a secret ballot. Nope. Just as a matter of procedure, once one applicant is selected, we will be adjourning from our work session and reconvening in a formal session, within which we would have to make a formal motion to appoint the council member. And then Cindy Lou Trishman, our city recorder, will swear you in tonight. So if you have any family members you want to text real quick to get over here, maybe use this time to do that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Cindy Lou Trishman, City Recorder.
ready to read the votes?
Oh, I'm not sure I'm ready to hear them. Go ahead.
Councilmember Petro voted for Lisa Yoder. Councilmember Poi voted for Amy Horman. Councilmember Wharton voted for Lisa Yoder. Councilmember Valdemoros voted for Sarah Young. Councilmember Mono voted for Sarah Young. And Councilmember Dugan voted for Sarah Young. I'm happy to share the tally on the screen, as we are of the impression there may need to be some further discussion.
At least there wasn't a 2-2-2 vote, because that was kind of awkward. I think we have a clear winner.
Actually,
no.
legally, you need to get to 4.
Oh, we don't have a legally.
So
we need to
another
get to
round
4.
of voting. That a council can't decide anything without 4 votes.
Oh boy.
And
what do we do?
so what you usually would do is just do another round of balloting.
Without another question?
Well, it's up to you, but typically, in the past, councils have just continued to do ballots. You could do it either way.
So, Mr. Chair, I would
Councilmembers, what do you want to do?
straw poll that we take the top 2 vote getters and have them answer another 1 or 2 questions and then vote again.
We're gonna get to 3. Okay. All right. Let's do that. We need a vote on that. So if you support that straw poll, indicate. Okay. Councilmember Valdemoros, do you support Councilmember? Okay, that's 6-0, which means Lisa Yoder and Sarah Young will be moving on. There are 2 questions that have not been asked yet. Is that correct? Let's why don't we select the questions now, so you both have equal amount of, sort of equal amount of time. Okay, the first, you choose the question. Let's do opposite. You choose the question first, and then I'll choose the person. And then we'll give you a few minutes to prepare, so that the second person, you don't have, okay, anyway. 1 and 4.
Either will be question 1 or question 4.
Okay. So, question
This will be question 4.
Question 4 about affordable housing goes to Lisa Yoder, which means question 1, and Lisa Yoder will go first, which means question 1 about describe your approach on taking. Oh wait, do we keep both of the questions in?
I think so. That's what
Okay.
we've done so far. No?
Okay, let's do that. Lisa Yoder, your question is, in terms of how the issue of affordable housing affects the city as a whole, share what are your main priorities?
It's a good question. Affordable housing affects the city as a whole, and that we all need a place to live. It's difficult to provide housing at all the different economic levels that we have, but it is possible to build housing at different levels of complexity and efficiency to serve the different needs and different economic status of people. My background originally is in residential design. I know how to design houses. One of the key things that we're missing in housing is making them energy efficient, highly efficient, and that can be done at low cost. It's not necessarily a premium at the cost of standard construction. So I know that we can build housing that is affordable for people to live and operate on the life cycle cost of the house. So my main priority would be, again, to look at the different sectors of housing and the different economic needs and the different locations to provide housing, and see how we can develop the housing, single-family homes, multifamily homes, all different aspects, and continue to build housing that serves the needs of the people at different economic levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, so Sarah Young, your question will be? Question 1. There have been and will be controversial requests before the City Council. Describe your approach on taking competing community feedback.
Thank you. So, when it comes to controversial requests, I think it's important to recognize that every single community member is going to have a vested interest in the outcomes as they're determined at Community Council. And because of that, most people are going to look at it through the lens of what's best for me, what's best for my family, and what's best for the greater community. And I feel incredibly strongly that it's important for all of those voices to have an opportunity to be heard. Now, as somebody who has had the opportunity to sit through 14 to 16-hour meetings where controversial issues have been discussed, I do think that there are some key strategies that can be used that still allow for community conversation and dialogue, but don't necessarily lead us into a space of 16 hours where we start to question, are we using taxpayer resources appropriately? One of those would be really specific to soliciting community feedback ahead of time, making sure that we're promoting that this issue is being discussed, providing very clear avenues to email and or phone calls or meetings with individual district members to be able to gather that feedback and kind of take a pulse of their district related to what's coming. Second of all, I think in the course of public comment, it's always a good idea to have folks sign up ahead of time so that way you know how many people are coming and what types of strategies you need to implement to be able to make sure that all sides are heard. Finally, I would also advance that another practice to be considered would be asking individuals to identify as for or against an issue and then having them alternate in terms of being able to be representative of both sides of a particular discussion, not just in terms of getting a sense of what the concerns are and those commonalities, but also to get a sense of kind of what's the percentage related to those that signed up ahead of time, are really passionate about it, and how that relates to the individual written and phone call feedback received ahead of time. Those are just some ideas related to not having 16-hour meetings, although I'll be honest, not opposed. I've done it and can keep going. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I believe we have another round of ballots headed our way. So over the last 5 times that Councilmember Wharton has done this, there was only one time that anybody got 6 votes in the first round, and that was Councilmember Valdemoros. So congratulations to both of you. You did something that none of the rest of us could do. Oh, well, actually, no, Councilmember Petro did, but that's a different scenario.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Cindy Lou Trishman.
Councilmember Petro voted for Sarah Young. Councilmember Poi voted for Sarah Young. Councilmember Wharton voted for Lisa Yoder. Councilmember Valdemoros voted for Sarah Young. Councilmember Mono voted for Sarah Young. And Councilmember Dugan voted for Lisa Yoder. Therefore, the tally, I will share that on the screen.
Congratulations.
It is 4 for Sarah Young.
Oh, does that?
Cindy, would you?
That's what you said. We needed 4, right?
Needed 4.
Okay.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, I move, that we adjourn the work session and reconvene in a formal meeting to make our final selection.
Okay. We need 5 minutes for the recorder to change the feed from. We can't actually. It's not an.
If it's
actual motion.
possible.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So we need 5 minutes. We are adjourned.
Yes.
We don't need to call that vote, right? We just adjourn. Okay.
Correct.
Because we do that every day. Okay. We are adjourned 5 minutes.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Councilmember Young.
Yeah.
are going to convene in our formal meeting. And we have, do I have a script? I don't actually know. Do I? Okay. I'm getting to it. Welcome. If you are just tuning in, we are now convening for a limited formal meeting, which means this is not a standard formal meeting and there's no general comment. The only item is the resolution under new business to appoint the new District 7 council member. So let's see, the resolution is appointing Sarah Young as a member of the Salt Lake City Council serving District 7. Excuse me. Congratulations on your selection. Thank you for being willing to serve the residents of District 7 and all of Salt Lake City. We look forward to working with you. You are appointed to fill the term until this coming January 2nd, 2024. So I'll read the resolution. This is resolution number 20 of 2023, appointing Sarah Young as a member of the Salt Lake City Council to fill the unexpired term of the vacated office representing District 7. Whereas the Salt Lake City Council on July 13th, 2023 met in an open and public city meeting for the purpose of interviewing candidates to fill the midterm vacancy on the City Council representing District 7. And whereas after fully and appropriately considering and interviewing all interested candidates, the council desires to appoint Sarah Young as a member of the Salt Lake City Council representing District 7 until the date a successor is duly elected, qualified, and sworn into office. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Salt Lake City, Utah, that Sarah Young is hereby appointed pursuant to Utah Code Section 20A-1-510 to fill the unexpired term of the office vacated by Amy Fowler in Council District 7, effective upon completion of the oath of office. The city recorder is authorized and directed to administer the oath of office immediately, and after the oath is administered, Sarah Young will fully participate as a member of the City Council, passed by the City Council of Salt Lake City, Utah on this 13th day of July 2023. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
move that we approve the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Wharton and a second from Councilmember Pui. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. The motion passes unanimously. And I believe you'll be sworn in right now.
What are we doing? No.
This is part of the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, and she gets to vote to adjourn.
Yeah. She can
Thank
really
you.
use the gap.
What do you have?
Should I keep it going?
Sarah Young, do solemnly affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Great State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office
You want to sit in your chair for 8 minutes?
Councilmember, join us in your chair.
Wait, doesn't she have to sign first?
Does she
Oh.
Okay.
Just kidding. Sign the thing.
You okay?
Thank you.
Right, welcome.
Would you like... Councilmember Young, would you like to make a motion?
For the
Oh. Just push the button.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Young, a second from Councilmember Pui. All of those, any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.
All right. Put the microphones down.
Artu? Where are you? Artu? Artu? Artu, you're on fire! R2-D2, you found a cigarette! Well, I don't think smoking is grown up at all. Because it's very dangerous. Smoking does dreadful things to your lungs, and is very bad for your heart. Well, I know I don't have one, but humans do, and I think we should set a good example. Well done, R2. Oh, hello. You know smoking is bad for your health, and it isn't grown up at all. So please, don't smoke. R2, do you really think I don't have a heart?
With coronavirus spreading, people at higher risk must take extra precautions. You're at higher risk if you're over 65 or if you have an underlying medical condition. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
There is a practical way to reduce air pollution. Just go to EnergyStar.gov, where the EPA can show you how to make a difference.
40% of food in America never gets eaten. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
In the months before the United States entered World War II, Salt Lake City leaders were grappling with the black pall of smoke hanging over the city that we refer to today as the inversion. In March of 1941, city leaders and city smoke abatement engineer William F. Butler set out to create a set of ordinances that would clear the air. As part of their comprehensive plan, the city's Smoke Control Division was born. The division, headed by city engineer Butler, was tasked with enforcing new smokeless fuel standards and ensuring heating equipment, furnaces, and boilers were optimized to be as efficient and smokeless as possible. They also outlawed the burning of leaves and trash in the city. The railroad industry was seen as the leading cause of the smoke, and they were given just 6 months to comply with the new rules. The Denver and Rio Grande Railroad alone spent $100,000 to comply, using new technology to improve cold starts of trains and reduce their pollution output considerably. Over the course of the next few years, much progress was made by the city to work with industry to reduce burning, help residents convert their winter heating to natural gas, and reduce pollution from city vehicles. Even the city and county building's boiler underwent a renovation to bring it up to the new standards. The Smoke Control Division did its best to help with the inversion problem until 1944, when its name was changed to the Power and Heating Division, since so much of their work was dedicated to helping residents and industry eliminate burning in their methods of heating. By 1949, city engineers estimated that they had reduced the layer of smoke over Salt Lake City by 80%. But with the ushering in of a new commuter age, automobiles and new industries undid much of the work the city did under the Smoke Control Division, making today's efforts to clear the air all the more important.
Cuando te pongan a prueba, no te rindas. Arranca solo después de oír el clic del cinturón, porque cada 8 minutos un pasajero de 8 a 14 años resulta lastimado en un choque.
Hey, Dad!
Hey, honey. Ho, 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 ho. Name, please.
Caitlin.
Check. Go.
Kaylee. Carly.
Who are you?
That's Carly, our next door neighbor.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Carly.
Hi.
It isn't easy to keep your kids from drinking, but one way is to get to know their friends. Just stay involved. You'll get through.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
In the 1870s, Commercial Street, which we know of today as Regent Street, was the heart of Salt Lake City's red light district. It flourished in that location for more than 30 years, despite frequent raids by the police. It was in the early 1900s that Salt Lake City Mayor John Bransford proposed to the City Council that they create a formal registration for the women who worked there, charge them fines of $10 a month each, and that they build a dedicated building for the red light district in a different part of town. The City Council agreed, and they went to work constructing what they called the Stockade and retained the services of Dora Topham, who went by the name of Madam Belle London, to oversee operations. On December 18, 1908, and at a great expense to city taxpayers, construction of the stockade was completed on Block 64 between 1st and 2nd South and 5th and 6th West. Women operating on Commercial Street were forced to ply their trade at the new location immediately or face arrest and fines. The red light district operated on the west side at that location until 1911, when Madam London quit after a run-in with the law. The red lights went out and the building was soon torn down. Women operating from the stockades soon returned back to Commercial Street, and business resumed normally, much to the dismay of city officials.
Heads up, Utah. Wondering what to do if you run out of gas on the freeway? Follow these 3 simple steps. 1. Move to the right. 2. Stay in your car. 3. Call 911. Following these steps will help keep you and those around you safe.
Truth is, I'm impressed. I haven't been asked such intelligent questions in a long time. Nice.
Park like a pro by not parking at red-bagged meters. If you are looking for a parking spot and come across a red-bagged meter, do not park here. An organization, business, or special event has reserved this meter with a parking meter permit to ensure the space remains unused. Parking meter permits are issued by the city's transportation department. If you park at a bagged meter, your vehicle will be subject to towing and impoundment, as it is a violation of Salt Lake City Ordinance 12.56.180. There are no exceptions. Thank you for parking like a pro. If you have questions about the red-bagged meters, please feel free to contact Salt Lake City Compliance.
In the early 1960s, William Shatner was a young stage actor hoping to make his big break into television. He'd done many live stage shows for the medium and had found iconic guest parts on anthology shows like Alfred Hitchcock Presents and The Twilight Zone, though he hadn't yet found his breakthrough role. In 1964, he finally booked a pilot that he thought was going to be the one, Alexander the Great.
I did not cross the sea to conquer Persia. I came to put an end to the barbarism that rots this land and has plagued Greece for 200 years. I came to put an end to wars forever.
It shot for 6 months all over the state of Utah, bringing in actors like William Shatner, John Cassavetes, Joseph Cotten, and Adam West. Unfortunately, Alexander the Great did not turn out like the producers had hoped and was shelved. Shatner went on to record other pilots, but took a job in Salt Lake City, opening a play by Norman Corwin called The Hyphen. It premiered at the Pioneer Theater on the University of Utah campus on March 24, 1966,